So today we're going to be taking a deep dive into our special purpose worksheets, and we're going to jump right and dive into those details. And today on our webinar, we have Glen, who's going to be leading us through this webinar. He is a senior implementation consultant and taught me a lot of what I know about Martus. And then I'm here as well. My name's Melissa, and I am an implementation consultant. So we are both excited to walk with you through this subject matter. All right, some housekeeping for today. Just to be aware, we are talking to a diverse group of Martus users. If you are unsure of what kind of Martus instance you have, what subscription level, feel free to let us know in the Q&A. We'll be happy to answer that for you or email support. And then we also want to bring your attention, Glenn is going to be posting a lot about our knowledge base articles throughout our webinar today. Those will be on our knowledge base about this webinar. And then we have a few things for those of you here on our webinar. Support for closed captions has been turned on, so feel free to turn that on if you need that. You can use Zoom's Q&A for questions. Definitely open that up. I'll be monitoring those throughout our webinar. And we also have our chat on, so if you just like something Glenn's talking about, have some comments, feel free to throw that in there. And then we will be sending out the video of this webinar as well as the PowerPoint in the next day or two. So be on the lookout for that. But yes, we are recording, and yes, we will post this on our knowledge base as well. All right, Glenn, heading over to you.
Thanks, Melissa. I appreciate it. So let's get started. Join me as we explore special purpose worksheets, and we often refer to special purpose worksheets as SPWs. So you'll hear me referring to it both ways. We're going to start today with an overview of special purpose worksheets. Martus has many layers of functionality, whether it's forecasting, reporting, or budgeting. There is much more to Martus functionality than what you see at the surface. Our goal is that you peel back some of the Martus functionality layers so we can help you achieve your financial goals. Special purpose worksheets, also known as SPWs, are one of the areas of Martus where you can peel back many layers and find additional functionality. Now let's peel back some layers by heading over to Martus to demonstrate SPW capabilities. Special purpose worksheets are a powerful feature of Martus. With SPWs, you can store the detail behind the budget line items, record assumptions, and even predefine certain budget amounts for non-admin users. There are three kinds of we have worksheet SPWs, we have global SPWs, and we have SPW templates. Now let's start, as Melissa said, I'm going to make a lot of references today to our knowledge base. And let's start by heading over there. So I'm going to go to the support tab. And I'm going to open the support website. And now we have lots of options here. You can do searches. You can view your existing tickets. And we have lots of knowledge base articles. Let's go to budgeting and forecasting. And here you see there's a section dedicated just to special purpose worksheets. So I'm going to click on that. And there's no better place to start than with the basics. So I'm going to expand on that. And you see we have a video there, 4-minute video. But let me scroll down beyond that to special purpose worksheet use cases. Here are some specific use cases that may inspire you to use SPWs in ways that you may not have thought of. I will let you review these. Scrolling down a little more, we see a reference to the three types of special purpose worksheets. You see the details, but let me point out some specific functionality. First of all, worksheet SPWs are created from a worksheet and are forever tied to that worksheet. Anyone that has access to a budget worksheet also has access to the worksheet SPW. Secondly, we have global SPWs, and they are used to impact multiple worksheets and are often used for non-personnel allocations, as we'll look at later today. Typically, this is admin functionality, but rights can be given to non-admin users. The third type are Special Purpose Worksheet templates. Only admin users can create an SPW template. In essence, they are a subset of an SPW that can be pulled in by any worksheet SPW. An example would be if multiple departments need to calculate travel costs, then a travel cost template would standardize the travel calculations and allow the Martus admin user to control drivers such as cost per hotel night. And we'll look specifically at that a little bit later. But for now, let's dive in deeper and look at some real world examples, starting with worksheet SPWs. So we're going to go back here. We're going to Planner, Worksheets, and we're going to look at the IT department. And IT departments often like special purpose worksheets because it's a good way to detail out the software. So in this case, the IT department is starting to budget for the new year. This year, they are committed to detailing out their software purchases. After reviewing the Martus knowledge base, it is obvious the solution is to use a worksheet SPW. To test out the SPW capabilities, they will start by entering the financial software, a one-time-a-year purchase, and then secondly, the software support contract that is a monthly cost per user. All costs will post to account 5310. So, under Worksheet Actions, you've seen it here before, we have the option to create a special purpose worksheet. Now, if one had previously been created, it would say Edit Special Purpose Worksheet. But in this case, we're going to click Create, and we're going to start to build it out by clicking Add a Line. So we'll start there, and what you see here, there are two tabs, the Info tab and the Values tab. Now, starting in the Info tab, we see Section and Description. Sections allow you to organize your special purpose worksheet. We click on the drop down to see 4 default sections. Now, these are great, but to be organized, we want to call our section, we want to call that software. The good news is these sections are free form, meaning you can create sections on the fly by just typing in the name. So we're going to type in 50 software and hit tab, and we just created a section just like that. Now, why the numeric prefix? It is not required, but we use a prefix to control the sort order, and the sort order is important because SPW should have a flow. An organized SPW is one where the flow of the data can be understood by your coworkers. Now, first we're going to budget our financial software, our one-time-a-year purchase. So we're going to add the description. So this is the line in the section. And we're going to call it financial software. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy that so I can use it later. Now we want this line to eventually post to our budget worksheet. So we're going to click Post to Budget Worksheet. The first thing that we know is that the worksheet is grayed out. So why is that? Well, this is because a worksheet SPW is forever tied to the worksheet it was created from. Yet, we still need to indicate where in the worksheet this line will post. So we're going to select 5310 Technology. Now, depending on your Martus instance and your Martus setup, there may be additional dimension values to select. In our case, we have a project, and we are going to select the project 9, which is non-project. And next, we're going to go up to the Values tab. Now, click on the Source drop-down. We see our options. Your options will be dependent on your Martus subscription level. We select Budget Widget, and you're familiar with the Budget Widget from the Budget Worksheets. But in this case, it's a one-time-a-year cost, so we're just going to put 2,000, and I'm going to paste in the description. Now, best practice is to add a note that explains your budget amount. Some organizations ask that the person adding the note also add their initials. We entered financial software, so it's obvious what we're budgeting for, and I'm also going to put my initials at the end to indicate that I'm the one who budgeted this. And I'm going to hit Save. What I want you to know is this summary section. Anytime post is equal to yes, Martus will place the amount in the summary section. Anything in the summary section will post when you click Post to Worksheet. I also want you to note our note is there, and that note will flow to the worksheet when you post that amount. Now, before we post this, let's add the software support budget that has a monthly cost per user. Now, we will calculate the support budget by looking at the cost per user and the user count. Starting with, well, I think the best place to start is to add the software cost per user. So I'm going to click Add a Line. In this case, we're going to use one of the predefined sections. So we're going to do rates, but we could add our own section if it made sense. Our description will be software support cost per user. And I'm going to copy that so I don't have to type that again. Now, in this case, this is a non-posting line that we're going to use later on. So we will not click Post to Budget Worksheet. Moving to the Values tab, the source is Budget Widget. Because we're using Budget Widget, we need to select an adjustment type. And you see our options here, but we're going to choose monthly, which is a default. Our amount is 20. Since the cost per user is 20 per month, we're going to click Preview, and it puts the 20 in there to populate the map. Next, we're going to add a note. So I'm just going to paste in, and I'm going to copy that down conveniently. Now, our support provider has informed us that the cost per user is increasing to 25 per month starting in July. So we're going to change this starting month to July. Going through the end of the year, we're going to put in 25, and we're going to preview that. And you can see that quickly put in 25 for the remainder of the year. And we're going to click Save. Now note, the amounts do not go into the summary section because we did not click Post equal to Yes. Next, in order to calculate our support budget, we also need to know the number of users in our department. So I'm going to click Add Line. And this time I'm going to choose the predefined section quantities. I'm going to put in a description of user count. Once again, I'm not going to post to the budget worksheet. We're going to use this information later. It's more like statistical, non-financial information that we can use. And I'm going to go to values. Now for our department, first of all, we're going to use budget widget monthly. We have 10 users using support. And I'm going to hit preview. I'm going to put in my comment, copy that down, and hit save. So far, that's easy. Now, we want to calculate our support budget by multiplying the cost per user times the user count. So we're going to add a line. In this case, section, we're going to go ahead and use the software section again. For the description, we're going to put software support contract because we are creating our budget for this contract. If I can spell, there we go. Now, in this case, we do want to post to the budget worksheet. Once again, it's grayed out because it's a worksheet SPW forever tied to that worksheet. Our count, once again, is going to be 5310 technology. Now, we could post to other GL accounts, but in this case, all these software costs are going to the same account. And we're going to do 999 for our non-project. And we're going to go to Values. On the Values tab, this time, we're going to choose Formula. And you see when we choose Formula, we have lines and operators. Well, the lines are coming from the lines we just created on the Info tab. So we have our options here. And what we want to do is take our software support cost per user. So I click on that. And I'm going to add some spaces to make it readable. And then we can choose our operator. Now I could just type it in, but I'm going to choose the operator. You see we have brackets, we have standard arithmetic, we have to the power of, we have conditional, we have absolute value, min, max, average, median, round, and the all-powerful if-then-else statement where you can do nested if-then-else, you can do ands with an ampersand, you can do ors. I've seen some very complex if-then-else statements in Martus, and the point of saying that is you can't do that if you needed to. Most of the time you don't. Most of the time this is very simple, as in this case, where we are just going to multiply software support cost per user. I'm going to add a couple spaces, make it readable, times the user count. So I'm always thinking about other people being able to read what I've created. I'm going to show notes. I'm going to preview and note that our costs went up when we increased that monthly cost per user starting in July. Now I'm going to put a comment in here. Whoops. Let me just type in software support contract. Copy that down, and I'm going to hit save. Now, this looks great. We posted both the financial software and the contract to 5310. Both of these had notes. So what does it do with these notes down below? Well, you see in January we have the one note, but we jump over to concatenated the notes. Very, very nice. So before we post to the worksheet, let's turn our attention to some of the options on this page. We've already looked at add a line quite a bit, so we know we're familiar with that. Now, sometimes you want a cleaner look as you're creating this and you don't want all this information, so you can hide the details. Sometimes you want to see some vertical separators, so we can add grid lines, and you see that there. Filter. I think filters are underused in special purpose worksheets, but you can, especially when you have a more complex SPW, this one's not too bad, but I just want to make a couple points. There's a lot of ways you can filter. Let's start off by just filtering a section. And once we choose section, we get an option, and I'm going to do the software section. Now, what I want you to know is I'm going to add a second filter, and I want you to note that these are cumulative selections. So now I'm going to choose formula. Now, there's only one formula, so it narrowed it down for me, but I could select a specific formula. But no, it's cumulative of all the filters that I've selected. Now, to revert back to see the whole screen, come back here and just go select. But I just want you to know there's a lot of ways you can filter your SPW. But we're going to go back to select. Everything's going to be there again. Now let's look at some of the options at the base of the page. Cancel. Cancels any changes made since the last time the SPW was saved. Worksheet. This option is only shown on worksheet SPWs. The button returns you directly back to the associated worksheet. We'll do that in a little bit. Post to worksheet. This posts anything in the summary section to your associated worksheet. So anything in this summary section will get posted when you click that button. Delete. Deletes the entire special purpose worksheet. Any amounts and notes already posted in the budget worksheet are retained on that worksheet when you delete the worksheet SPW. Exportable, printable version to Excel. This creates, and I'm going to open it up so you can see it. This creates an Excel file, and I'm going to show you this Excel a little bit later. Let's focus on the Excel file that has all the details of the special purpose worksheet, including your notes. So very interesting, very nice feature, and I would say underutilized. So let's go back to our special purpose worksheet. Now we're going to look at load prior year and import templates a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and post to the budget worksheet. So anything in the summary section will post, and that's account 5310. I'm going to hit post. Yes, I'm sure. We get some feedback and say, okay. Now let's go look at 5310 and see, we can see that $4,700. So I'm going to go to the worksheet. We're going to look at 5310. I'm going to collapse that. And there's our 4,700. Note the SPW icon. And also note that it's blue indicating there's notes. So let's see what our notes look like. And we'll jump over to July and see our concatenated notes. Very, very nice. Next, let's look at global special purpose worksheets. So we are going to, I'm going to close that, planner, special purpose worksheets, and let's focus in on just the globals, and let's edit the rent allocation. Now, our rent costs were previously budgeted to Facilities Department 230. The decision has been made to allocate rent based on department square footage. To achieve this, we could run a report and type the rent numbers directly into our global SPW. But there is a better way. let's take a side trip to explore reporting groups very quickly and just at a high level. So we're going to go once again to support. We're once again going to open our support website. This time, we're going to click in the search bar, and I want to focus on articles, and I'm going to type in reporting groups to see exactly, get some more information on them. There we go. And you see that we have 20 articles and videos, a lot of great information. But let's click on using reporting groups on SPWs, which is what we're doing today. There's a wealth of information here, including an article at the bottom. I'm sorry, a video at the bottom. But up here, I just want to point out that reporting groups are used to define combinations of accounts and dimensions. Reporting groups can be used within a global SPW to calculate budget amounts based on amounts currently budgeted for those combinations of accounts and dimensions. Like an account category is a group of accounts, a reporting group is a group of lines, both dimensions and accounts, that can be referenced in special purpose worksheets, but also in our report builder tool. Now that sounds exactly what we need for our rent allocation. Now this feature, just so you know, is a part of the Standard Plus, Advanced Plus, and Enterprise subscription levels. Before we head over to show you the rent reporting group, let me point out an excellent resource to learn more. If we just look to the right, we see some suggested articles. I want to point out this one in particular that our co-host Melissa created, and this is a great article. Watch me work fun with reporting groups. So they can be fun. All right. With that being said, I encourage you to watch that. Next, we did create a reporting group for you for the purpose of this webinar. So I'm going to go to Setup, Reporting Groups. Now, this is just high level. We're not getting into details. I'll let you watch the video that Melissa created. But for right now, I do want to look at this rent allocation. I'm going to edit it. It's a very simple example where we pulled in rent for account 5501, department 230, and location 100. Now, some cases you just pull in the account. Some cases you have multiple lines. But this is what we need in this case. But you also can see what lines is pulling in by this matching budget lines. I'm going to show matches. In this case, it's only pulling one line, but that's exactly what I expected and what I need in this case. Sometimes you do this and you'll pull in a lot of lines. All right, next, let's head back over to the global SPW. Like I said, this was just going to be a quick trip to reporting groups just to give you the concept more than anything. So we're going to go back to Planner, Special Purpose Worksheets. We're going to focus on the global, so we'll eliminate the other two types. We're going to go to Rent Allocation. Now, as mentioned earlier, our rent costs were previously budgeted to department facilities. The decision has been made to allocate rent based on department square footage. So here in our global SPW, the top section is the square footage for 3 different departments with a grand total. Now let's add in the IT department's 16,000 square foot. So I'm going to just click here, which will bring me to the values tab, budget widget, monthly 16,000, and preview. And we're going to hit save. So that increased our total square footage. Now the allocation percent section, I just want to give you a concept of how different SPWs might work. So we're going to walk through this. But the allocation percent section calculates the allocation percent by taking the square footage for each department and dividing by the total square footage. Let's look at the IT department's calculation. So I'm just going to come here and you see IT is 79%. But we're curious. Let's ask the question, why am I putting round in there? Well, reality is, and I'm going to ask the same question about why am I multiplying by 100? Well, let me show you the original results. And a lot of times I find it very important to make my results readable. So if I was to hit preview on this, that's great. And that's precise, 0.7882 or 78.82%. But for my final results and the look and feel of this, I want it to be readable. So it's now at 79%. So it could have been done either way, but I rounded and then I multiplied it by 100 to get this result. Now, note, coming down below, turn our attention to the rent section and the rent to be allocated line. We're going to go to the Values tab. Now, we need the total rent to be allocated. We could use the budget widget as a source and type in monthly budget rent, just type it in. Alternatively, we're going to use a reporting group we looked at earlier. So the source will be reporting group. The reporting group will be, and we'll just start typing in rent allocation, the one we just looked at, and I'm going to hit preview. Now, what's nice about this, notice that the amount changed in July, so we're picking that up automatically. Now, the rent allocation section, well, let's go ahead and save on this, and let's talk about this rent allocation section. But you see how we pulled in that rent to be allocated automatically using the reporting group. All right, the rent allocation section takes the rent to be allocated and multiplies it by each department's allocation percent. Note that each of the allocation lines is set to post equal yes, and therefore they end up in the summary section with the amount to be budgeted. Now, a couple tips. If I want to see all the lines that go into the IT department rent, well, I can click on this line total amount or any of these lines, but I'm going to click on this 106,000, and that'll narrow down to everything that was used to calculate my IT rent. And in doing that, I want you to notice something else. When I clicked on that updated the filter to the formula I2 rent because I clicked on the total for that formula. So it did that work for me, but I'm going to go back and show everything again. Let's also look at a couple optional tie-outs I have in here. So I'm a big fan of tie-outs, so I can make sure that my numbers aren't off, my formulas aren't off. So in this case, and it is optional, but I added up my percent because I know that that total should equal 100%, and it does. So that's just a formula that adds these three together, verifying that I have 100% in each month. Down here, I have another tie out. Now this adds each of the department rent allocations, each of the amounts, and subtracts out the rent to be allocated, which I know that that should be zero. But if something was off in one of my formulas, this would not be zero, and I would know I have an issue. So I'm a big fan of tie out, but it is optional. But I just always want to catch if there is a mistake. Now, in the summary section, note that each allocated line is posted into the appropriate department. Question: if the reporting group values change, how would I pull it into my global special purpose worksheet? Well, note the option at the base of the page, update reporting group values. So if I wanted to get an update, I can just click update, say okay, and just like that, it's updated. Now, nothing has changed, but I just wanted to show you that functionality. Now, going back to the special purpose worksheet list, it is time to talk about special purpose worksheet templates, or SPWTs. Our organizational department managers all travel to yearly conferences. In recent years, we noticed the budgeting for travel was very inconsistent, and frankly, it was a bit messy. One of our goals this year is to standardize the input of budgeted travel costs. After discussing the goal with our Martus CSM, we decided it made a lot of sense to create an SPW template for travel costs. So let's go to Special Purpose Worksheets, filtered by just the templates, and we're going to look at the travel cost template, and I'm going to edit this. Now, only admin users are permitted to create SPW templates. Once created, they can be imported into any worksheet SPW. Let's review our travel templates starting with the section. And once again, note there are a lot of ways to create these. This is one example. All right, but starting with the fixed section, the purpose here is that the Martus admin will control this section and determine what these standard costs are. The variable inputs are the worksheet SPW department manager's responsibility to fill in for their department, the number of attendees, the number of nights, and number of days. Total travel costs are all set to post to the worksheet. Now, in the summary section, anything that said post equal to yes, in the summary section, that's where it's going to post. But note, the template is set to post only to the account and the line dimensions, but not the specific worksheets. How can that be? Well, the reality is the way Martus templates work is once a worksheet SPW pulls in that template, it will know to post to that worksheet. Now, note, Martus admins can update this fixed section at any time and push the updated amounts down to the worksheet SPWs, and then it will also automatically go down to the worksheets that use the template. They simply use the option at the base of the screen to post to the worksheet SPWs and the related worksheets. Tip: if the template value is 0, as in these variable inputs, Martus will not update or override the worksheet SPW amount. So that's why we have these set to 0, because they are designed for the department managers to input these amounts. And because there's 0 in the template, we can never override the department manager's input. Where with these amounts are not 0, and when we update these will update in the worksheet SPWs and in the worksheets. So this is good news right here with the zeros. Since these lines, we do want the department managers to update these inside the worksheet SPW. We do not want to control these. Next, let's look at how the IT department uses the travel template. So heading back over to our list of special purpose worksheets, we're going to look at the IT department and we're going to edit that. So how do we pull in the travel cost template? Quite simply, down here, import the template. We see we have a few, but the one we need for is the travel cost template. Note currently we have department quantities software that we created early, and of course the summary section. We're going to pull in this travel cost template and import it. And just like that, we created all these new sections from the template. Wow, that was easy. We now have our original software sections plus the imported travel cost sections. Next, the department manager will enter in April and May, which is when this department does its traveling. They're going to enter in the attendee count. I'll just click there, and that will be 20 and 20, and I'm going to hit save. And as I enter these, it's going to fill in numbers down below based on calculations. Then we're going to do the number of nights. Well, there's 3 nights in each month for each user, for each attendee. And I'm going to hit save on that. Do some more calculations down below. And lastly, the number of days. So it's 3 nights and 4 days. So I'm going to type in 4 days and 4 days and hit save. Very nice. So now let's go ahead and post this to the worksheet, which will create these travel lines, and it gives us some feedback, letting us know it's been posted. We're going to go directly to the worksheet using the worksheet button. We're going to scroll down to the travel cost. We see it came from an SPW, and it will list worksheet SPW. You see the amounts that got posted, the same amount in April and May, April and May, April and May. And I point that out that they're same amounts because of what we're about to do. We anticipate an increase in airfare in May. As an admin, I want to go back to the travel cost template and update the May airfare amount on the template to $450. So let's go back to here. Let's go to the template. And I'm going to edit that. And we have been told, or we have reason to believe, that the airfare costs are going to go up temporarily in May. So I'm going to click that, and I'm going to change this to $450. Hit tab, hit save. So you note that there's a change in May. And let's go ahead and now, when we post this, we mentioned earlier that this will update the worksheet SPWs and associated worksheets. So let's go ahead and post our change. That's going to push it to all the worksheet SPWs that have pulled in the template, and this shows you the ones that were impacted. I'm going to say OK. Now let's go to our special purpose worksheets to see the impact. First of all, we're going to look at the IT. We're going to edit that. We're going to see the update. When we come down here, we see now in May it's $450, and that impacted our numbers down below. Notice there's a change. Now, I haven't hit post here, but I'm going to go to the worksheet because in theory, the worksheet also got updated when I posted from the template. And let's go verify that. Come down here, and yes, it did. Those dollar amounts are no longer the same. So without posting the SPW, we see that the worksheet did get updated when we posted from the template. Now, we are curious Martus users, and we want to know what happens if we remove the template from the IT worksheet SPW. So let's go back to that. Here, we're going to go back there from here. And did you know that you can remove templates from your worksheets just as easy as you can add them? So we're back in here. We see our template values inside of our worksheet SPW, but we now have the option to remove them. So we're going to go ahead and click that, choose the template to remove it. The lines are gone, but we're not going to hit post yet. Let's just see the impact of removing those lines on the worksheet itself. So we're going to go to the worksheet. The question is, did deleting that do anything to our worksheet? The answer is no, everything is still there. So how do we update our worksheet now that we've deleted the template from the worksheet SPW? Well, let's go back to the worksheet. And the answer to the question is, and you've already determined this, you just simply post. So those travel lines are gone. And now I'm going to hit post, and that will update our worksheet. So the numbers are zeroed out, no notes, no numbers. All right, so very good. Now, going back to planner worksheets, in 2024, our worksheet SPW for 109 is missing. So our worksheet, special purpose worksheet for our worksheet 999 is missing. Now, last year, it detailed out member fees based on membership levels. It was great. I know it was there last year. Who would have deleted it? Let's look at admin reports activity log. So we're going to go to admin reports activity log. Now this is available at the standard plus, advanced plus, and enterprise subscription levels. Note we have many options here. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but we want to see where or who deleted our special purpose worksheet. So we're going to focus on action, and we're going to type in delete and delete SPW and hit load. And the culprit is me. Well, I guess we need to add it back. So let's go to Planner, Worksheets, and we're going to edit Department 99 so we can start adding that back. So let's build that SPW again. So we're going to go to Worksheet Actions, and we're going to create a Special Purpose Worksheet and let that come up. Wait, there's an option to load prior year SPWs. Will that work? Let's click on the blue question mark. They're all over Martus. Looks like it will work. So let's give it a try. I'm going to load prior year SPW, click OK. Takes 2 or 3 seconds to pull it in. It brought in 72 lines. Wow, that's impressive. So now let's go ahead and post that to our worksheet. And I'm going to click OK. And let's go to the worksheet to see, and this is the source of account 4220. Just like that. Very, very nice. Now let's click on the SPW icon to get back to our special purpose worksheet. Now, being curious once again, what happens when a worksheet SPW is deleted? Let's test it. So we have this worksheet SPW. We're just going to go down and delete it to see what happens, because we know we can just turn around and pull it back in from the prior year. So I'm going to delete this. We're going to say OK. It brings us back to our original worksheet. Note there's no more SPW icon. Note that our notes are still there, which is great. And the information is now in the budget widget instead of coming from the SPW. Very nice. So we now know what happens when we delete a worksheet SPW from a worksheet. We still retain our amounts. Now that brings up a follow-up question. What if a global SPW or an SPW template is missing in the current year? So we saw our worksheet SPW was missing, and we were able to pull it from the prior year. But can a missing global SPW or SPW template, can it be restored? Let's head back over to Planner Special Purpose Worksheets. Note at the very bottom, there's a Load Prior SPW drop-down option at the base of the SPW list. And once again, there's a blue question mark with some important information. But let's just click in the drop down, and what we see here is a list of global SPWs and SPW templates from the prior year. Wow. So let us go ahead and pull in a couple, and let's see what happens. So let's pull in the regional, a template, the regional convention, and let's see if that pulls in. We'll select that. We're going to load that prior year SPW template, and that brought in the regional convention just like that. Wow. Let's do the same thing with a global. Let's pull in the revenue based on ADA. So we're going to come down here, and I'll just type in ADA, and there it is. And let's load that global SPW from the prior year. Give that a second. And just like that, we pulled in. Wow, that is great. Now, let's look at that regional convention. This is a pretty complex SPW, as you're going to see, with a lot of lines. Now, you could create this manually. You can update it directly. There's a lot here, as you can see. And create this manually would have taken a fair amount of time directly in Martus, just because it's large. But there is an alternative. You can make edits or create SPWs directly inside of Excel. So and the way you do that is I'm going to click on Planner Setup, and I'm going to export our Planner default. We're going to click on that. Give that a second for that to come up. There it is. We're going to open it up, and we've already seen that. Now, what you're going to see is on the rightmost tab is called Special Purpose Worksheet, and this can be edited and re-imported. In fact, you could delete the other tabs, because when we import from Excel, we add, we update, but we never delete from Martus what's not in the Excel. But looking through this, there's a lot to this. And you might say that how to update this may not be completely obvious. And I know that y'all could figure it out. But I've created a document that I want to show you. So I'm going to go ahead and close this. And we're going to close this and look at this how-to document. So let's walk through this. Some of this is straightforward, some may not be. So you'll have a code column. So I'm looking at these column headers. You have a worksheet column and a workbook worksheet. So I want to point out, if there is a code in column A, that means it is a template SPW. If there is a code in the workbook worksheet column, that means it is a worksheet SPW. If there is not a code in the code column and not a code in the workbook worksheet column, that means it's a global SPW. So we see we have 3 global SPWs in here also. All right, so let's keep moving to the right. Type is purely the section name. So we've seen our sections. We know they're freeform. You can create those. Name are the SPW line names within the sections. If you have a formula, you see it here. Literally, you could create them directly inside the Excel based on the line names. Then we have a section, and this will vary by your Martus instance, of accounts and dimensions. This is an optional section. This is to make the Excel more readable, but we ignore this during import. If you have a reporting group header, this tells you, did you use a reporting group inside of your worksheet SPW? In this case, we did on that line. Then you have your amounts. Month 1 is first month of your fiscal year. Month 12 is the last. On lines that are based on a reporting group, is this one down here, or formulas, there's no need to update or adjust those numbers, because they're going to recalculate based on the reporting group or on the formulas. Continuing to the right, you can add your notes here. Note 1 is the first month. Note 12 is the last month of your fiscal year. If a posting line has notes, those notes will end up on your budget worksheet. And how do you know if you have a posting line? Well, you know you have a posting line because you will have put where to post right here. Once again, this varies by your Martus environment. Now, it's interesting here, we don't see our, in this case, entity department, our worksheet. Well, of course, that tells you that this is a template. So on the template, you don't put the worksheet, you just put the account and any line dimensions down below. So once again, if you have your values then that means post equal to yes. There's no column says post equal to yes. The system knows if you have posting, then that will post when it imports back into Martus. And then lastly, if you're using a template on a SPW, it's going to list that template here in this template column. So I just wanted to make life a little easier. If this is something you want, you can request this. All right, heading back over, so I'm going to close that down. Now, this discussion brings up some more questions. I mean, as we've talked about, we're curious. We want to know how everything works. Can I edit a worksheet SPW if the worksheet is locked? Can I edit a worksheet SPW if the underlying worksheet is locked? Well, let's go to worksheet. 100, 230 facilities. We see that that is locked. And so let us go into here. And let's edit the special purpose worksheet and go to a line. Actually, that may be coming from, and notice it's grayed out because the worksheet is locked. So it even gives you that feedback. Question number 2, can a global SPW be changed if the worksheet is locked? So let us go to, and we're going to come back here. Let's just close that down. Let's go to our worksheet. Let's go to worksheet 100, counseling services. We're going to edit that. We're going to show the applicable SPWs, in case you haven't seen that before. This will give you a list of the SPWs impacting this particular worksheet. I'm going to show that, and there's 2 globals. So our question is, can a global SPW be changed if it's on a worksheet that's locked? Well, you can see that worksheet is locked. Let's go to our indirect allocation and let us click on here. And once again, our formula is grayed out because the worksheet is locked. In summary, if the worksheet is locked, you can view the SPW, but you cannot change it. On the other hand, Department 999 is not locked. So 999, if I can find down here, this worksheet is not locked, and I can update that. So on the global, some lines you can change if it's unlocked, but the lines that go to a locked worksheet cannot be changed. How about frozen months? Frozen months cannot be updated on the worksheet itself by posting SPWs or by posting a personnel scenario to a budget. Next question. If multiple SPWs, this is an important question, if multiple SPWs hit the same budget line, who wins? Interesting. Well, there's 2 sets of rules. Let's head back over to our knowledge base quickly. We're almost out of time. Support, open support website, and let's go to budgeting and forecasting again. Let's go to special purpose worksheets again. This time we're going to look at creating the special purpose worksheet, and we're going to expand that. We are going to scroll all the way to the bottom. A lot of great information. And here we have interactions between SPWs and worksheet SPWs. On a worksheet, if you have a worksheet SPW and 1 or more global SPWs that affect the same budget line, the contents of the budget line will be determined by the SPW that was most recently posted to the worksheet. So whichever one posts last wins. Now, a little different situation. What if you copy a budget? Well, when a budget is copied, and there's information you see here in this interaction section, when the budget is copied, all SPWs within it are copied and posted. If you have multiple SPWs and or worksheet SPWs that affect the same budget line, they're posted in the following order. This is during a budget copy. First, in the SPW templates are posted to the worksheet SPWs. Second, all worksheet SPWs are posted to the worksheet. Finally, any global SPWs are posted. So in other words, globals win. All right, let's head back over to our PowerPoint. Now, we have peeled back many SPW layers. With the knowledge you gained today, you may want to go a little deeper. Here is a clickable link to a modeling example using SPWs. This video walks you through how to set up drivers within special purpose worksheets. It focuses on how to model tuition, but you can use these same concepts for many kinds of drivers. Melissa, these webinars are a valuable resource. What is coming up next?
Hi, Glenn. Thanks. Yeah, we have our next quarterly or multiple times a year Watch Me Work session. So these are aimed to help those of you who are spinning up a new budget cycle around the time when we are doing this session. So for September, we're going to be walking through starting a new budget cycle, starting a new year in personnel. We're going to do our rotating topic we're actually going to be doing it on personnel updates. And then we're going to be doing our end user budgeting and reporting training. So that is one of our few webinars that is focused on your end users. We invite them to that. And then in November, Glenn is going to be back with us at a look back at Martus updates in 2024. And that will be in November, right before all of the holidays. So thank you for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webinar. Thanks, everybody.